Raider Nation, it is time. A fan base that's more dedicated than almost any that I can think of. Gone through a lot of turmoil, been on the fringe of greatness so many times. The addition of Geno Smith everybody thought was promising, but the season hasn't gone the way it should have. We are about to embark on this franchise right now. As this all plays in the background on your screen, this is a post commentary. We're about to embark on this franchise and trying to take the Raiders to the next level. In this series, I'm going to try to keep it as realistic as possible, but we're going to have fun with this. We got a lot of good pieces on this team, but things just aren't clicking in real life, and you'll see through these highlights and stuff from the preseason that sometimes things weren't clicking in Madden either. One of the biggest things I want to do, you can see right there, defensive win championships. We want to build an elite defense with complementary offense. Here was an interesting storyline throughout the preseason, actually, is Kenny Pickett wanting to be QB1, and that is an option for this offense depending on how Geno Smith plays into things. Looking at our roster, you'll be able to see that we got some key guys, some key pieces in certain spots, but there's room for improvement pretty much everywhere. We got a lot of bridge guys that'll hold it down until you can get a younger guy or a better guy coming in. One guy I want to really focus on this season is Eric Stokes. I want him to have a big breakout year next to Darian Porter. And Ashton Jeanty, obviously, we want him to have a great season as well. But pretty much everybody's replaceable. There's only a couple people on this roster that I wouldn't give away or use for a trade. I did add Kadarius Toney. Maybe he can have a redemption story in Las Vegas. And then, we were just kind of looking around at other people on the trade block, other people in free agency. And Hendon Hooker struck me. I like Hendon Hooker a lot. He was a free agent. You'll find out here in a little bit if he stayed a free agent. But I like Hendon Hooker if we need another option at QB. I like O'Connell too, but I don't know if he's really an option better than Kenny Pickett or Geno Smith. So we come into the Seattle game really just kind of looking to see what this team can do. This will be like the longest part of the highlights for this whole video. We come in the first drive. Seattle's in the red zone. 1st and 10, and Kenneth Walker just basically walks in. You'll see throughout this preseason, our defense makes some really good plays, and they make some really questionable plays, just like that one. As Ashton Jeanty comes in, and he breaks off a huge run, breaking some tackles, getting the first down. Big gain there. Offense actually didn't look horrible in the preseason, but they definitely need to look more consistent. And you'll see that, we go from this game, which, as you can see right now, it's 7-0. And then we have a really big game next game. And then I didn't even show the highlights for the third preseason game, which was against the Cardinals, because that was just disappointing all around. It was a boring game and just not a lot of highlights. Nothing to really highlight for anybody in that game. But yeah, this game actually came down to the wire. It starts out pretty rough. Seattle's driving. They got their starters in. And, they really just dominated this game from the beginning to pretty much the fourth quarter, which is when our offense really starts kicking in. 3rd and 10 here. Our defense looking for a big stop. Well, that's my fault on the editing part. I believe we got the stop there. Come back next drive. They're moving. Sorry if some of these are out of order too. I don't know what happened. Everything got kind of jumbled up when I was putting it together, and it might not look like it was coming together. But Kenny Pickett's first appearance here in the preseason, and we're going to see what he can do. If I remember correctly, he actually has a pretty good game. There is a touchdown that he throws in this game that they don't credit to him, but it does count because if they called it a no touchdown, then they reviewed it. So he does throw a touchdown in this game. So his stats at the end look a little not as good. Because, I mean, spoiler alert, he will throw a pick in this game at some point. But that being said, he does play very well outside of, that interception. Our O-line needs to step up. I noticed a lot of pressure getting through and a lot of backwards plays for us, which is just not something you want going into this. Pick it back to pass again. He does come up short of the first down there, but it was a good play, rolling out to his weak side, throwing back across his body. And we get a big stop there, or a big hit at least. Come in their next drive. They're pushing the ball downfield a lot, and our DBs are doing an okay job. There's a couple question marks. Our linebackers are also kind of weak. We got a couple guys who are like bridge players, they should be able to sit in there and do their job decent, but they're not going to push us to the level that we want to be at. Still 7-0 here in the second. 4 minutes left. Seattle's driving right now, though. 3rd and 10. Huge throw downfield, and that is broken up. Big play there. So then we went to the sim for a second. We couldn't get anything going. We punted. They get a little punt return. Nice little 7-yard reception. 2nd and 3. 45-yard touchdown to JSN. And that just hurts. I wish we had been watching that to see what had happened, but at the same time, it's going to hurt regardless. So now it's 14-0. And looking to see if our offense can get some points on the board before halftime. Kenny Pickett, he's slinging the rock a little bit. Our offense hasn't gotten going with either quarterback in, so we're going to just let him keep going. He throws a seed over the middle. Great throw right there to Dante Thornton Jr. And, we're moving and moving the ball. I think that's one of those that got jumbled up. Yeah, so this should have been the next play. Here we are now, 2nd and 10 in the red zone. Kenny Pickett really looking to, we're looking for a lot from him. He wants to be QB1, and I think he could be. He might start a couple games depending on how Geno Smith is performing, how our offense is performing. Steps up, trying to make a play, turns around and just misses his target. We settle for 3 there. Seattle comes back, 3rd quarter. We get a big stop right there. Now, this is where things start to turn. This is later in the 3rd quarter. Their first drive was pretty long coming out of the half. And we get a huge sack there. Darian Porter, DeCameron Richardson had pretty good preseasons. And they're guys that I want to look at for sure and keep an eye on. As we go for it there, 4th and short, Kenny Pickett gets it. We're looking for our first touchdown of the day. And this right here is a big, not this. Disregard that. That was a bad play. Like I said, we saw a lot of negative plays in the preseason that we don't want to be seeing that much of in the regular season. 2nd and 10 here. Quick little pass, broken up, which brings us to 3rd and long. Kenny Pickett back there again. Obvious passing situation. Throws it down the field. And originally they don't call this a touchdown. Spoiler alert, they confirm it. We get the points. It was a great throw, great catch, great play all around. They don't give Kenny Pickett that touchdown in the stats, but we know he threw that. It was a great play there by Kenny Pickett. And, our defense gets a stop. And just like that, we're back in this thing. 2.5 minutes left in the 4th. And, we're we're starting to drive, starting to get things going. And, another big play there. Have I been saying the wrong player? I feel like I have been for number 10. Anyways, we're moving. Things are going. We hand the ball off. Big run up the middle. Raheem Mostert gets the first down, close to the touchdown. Raheem Mostert actually showed up pretty well in the preseason when he was in and when Genti was out. So as you can see here, we tie with Seattle. There's no overtime in preseason, so it's an automatic tie. But the way we fought back with Kenny Pickett quarterback, as you can see, he had a very good game. He did have the touchdown. He threw the pick, but there is a touchdown. We know he threw. Rushing-wise, Raheem Mostert had a very good game. Genti was pretty good while he was in, too. He was actually very good while he was in. Receiving-wise, Dante Thornton had a very big game. Very big game. Alex Backman had a good game, too. Not much from Kadarius Toney in that one, which, I'm not expecting him to blow things out. I need him to be more of a support guy. We got guys that we want to develop at wide receiver. Defensively, defense played solid. Our next game is against San Francisco. And, coming in here, talking to Kenny Pickett, he did what it said, but because it didn't count the touchdown, it's iffy. But we'll keep an eye on that. That'll be our decision regardless. San Francisco's first drive here, Purdy throws to Kittle. Tough completion there, but a good one. Their starters gonna do what their starters are gonna do. Our defense does come up with a pretty good stop there, showing some of the injuries that we're dealing with. We do have quite a few guys on IR who are gonna miss majority of the season, if not all of it. And then they just come back, throw a seed to Ricky Parasol, touchdown San Fran. But we come down our first drive, Geno Smith in at quarterback, and we're looking to put points on the board also. Smith throws an absolute dot there to Trey Tucker for the touchdown, a tough grab, a great grab. If we can see something like that in the regular season, I think we'll be okay. Tough grab by him there. He does get the touchdown. Defense gets a stop. Geno Smith comes back, throws a dot over the middle. We're up 14-7 now at this point. And, our offense was just rolling today. Geno Smith rolling around. He takes a big sack here and fumbles, which is something you don't want to see. I would have much rather him throw it away or something than take that kind of sack. Geno Smith steps up, throws another seed over the middle there. We had to settle for a field goal there after that fumble and sack. Offense rolling 17-7 now. Handoff there, decent run. Get 6 on that. I think our run game is going to be okay. It might be a little spotty against better defenses, but it should be okay with Raheem Mostert and Ashton Genti. And then Geno Smith just steps up, runs up the middle, untouched for a touchdown. Having himself a great game in San Francisco. Trying to, I'm feeling like he's feeling the pressure from Kenny Pickett. He knows we told him he could have a shot at the starting job. As we get a pick there to pretty much seal this one, 30-14. And, it felt like Geno Smith in this game really felt the pressure. And, that's good. If it means our team's going to play better because of the pressure, for people behind them, pushing them to be better, that's going to make our team as a whole great. Everybody's feeling the pressure that we got to win. If this is what our offense and defense can do against a decent team, and number 12 right there, remember how I said I wanted Hendon Hooker? That is Hendon Hooker. So San Francisco signed Hendon Hooker before we could. And, that's okay. But I just thought that was funny how I was looking at him before the first preseason game, and now he's on a roster going against us. So like I said, our third game against Arizona was not great. You'll see the stats from that. I bring them up here in a few minutes after we do a couple other things, after we go through these stats and get a look at a couple other things. In between this, I noticed Christian Watson was on the trade block, so I figured, hey, let's go look at some trades. The Steelers, I will say, very active in the preseason trade market. Mac Jones goes to the Saints for Alontae Taylor and a fifth. That is a big trade there. As we go through here, I'm just going to explain some of these trades. This is just talking to Kenny Pickett, telling him what he should be better at. I want him to be better at pushing the ball down the field. He's a quarterback. We need that. Darnell Washington to the Rams for Bo Limmer, their center, and a 2 6th-round picks. Pardon me. Steelers get Noah Brown and a 7th for Nick Herbig. He's on his way to Washington. A big one here. Charbonnet to the Cardinals for Garrett Williams and some late-round picks. That is like Zach Charbonnet, he's a great backup. As we go through here, I am intrigued by Malik Willis being on the trade block if we do end up needing some sort of quarterback help or somebody that we want to believe in. I think Malik Willis has shown he's got some great potential. Just going through some positions of interest here, and some places that we might need to shore up. We do go look at wide receiver with Christian Watson. Dontavian Wicks is on there too, who I really like his potential for being a very consistent, every down kind of wide receiver. I don't think I want to give up what it would take to get Christian Watson. But spoiler alert, we do trade for Dontavian Wicks. I'll just break that now. It is towards the end of the video, but we do trade for Dontavian Wicks. We trade DeCameron Richardson, who had a very solid preseason, but I didn't feel like he would get as much playing time as he would in a system like Green Bay. And then we add Wicks to our... It's kind of crowded, but he will be one of our top guys. So here's our next game against the Cardinals. It's pretty disappointing. You can see from the stats, nobody really stood out. Nobody really did anything great. Neither quarterback played great today. It was really just kind of meh all around. Even our running backs, we didn't really run the ball today for some reason. Wide receivers played okay. Kadarius Toney had a good game, 2 catches, 52 yards, but really just no standout performances. It was really boring to watch, really boring to try to get the highlights out of. So I just figured we'd skip all that and we'd get to some other things. Week 4 of the preseason, we didn't have to cut anybody because we were already at the 53-man at the beginning of all this. But there were some trades. Like I said, the Steelers, very, very... Oh, here's our Dontavian Wicks trade. It was Cameron Richardson and a 6 just for Wicks straight across. They accepted that. So you'll get your first look at Dontavian Wicks on the squad. And then we go pick up Isaiah Dunn from out of Oregon State, another former Packer for that rotational cornerback spot. We release Alex Backman, who wasn't going to see much playing time anyways. The Steelers ended up trading Cole Holcomb for a little Jordan Humphrey and some picks, which is beyond me. And Jatavian Sanders is on his way to the Rams with some picks for Tyler Higbee. So a bunch of trades going on. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'm really enjoying doing this, and I hope you are all ready for what's to come. Next episode coming soon. Stay tuned, and I'm out.